welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a new video as normal. If you're new, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on other content related to spirituality, wellness, manifestation, metaphysics, and all of the good stuff. So be sure to subscribe if you forgot to subscribe, or if you're new, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you see a new video when it's up. Also, before we hop into the video, I want to announce that Clyde has a new collection, these beautiful zodiac necklaces. I have the Gemini one because I'm a Gemini, but we have them in every zodiac, as well as these beautiful starseed earrings. They're a little huggy with a pink enamel star. We also have the Divine Goddess earrings, which are these beautiful moons with the white enamel, the shine on earrings in both the silver and gold colors, and the moon earrings. So we have a really beautiful collection. A lot of the pieces are limited edition. You guys have been loving these and the Divine Goddess and the zodiac necklace a ton. So if you haven't picked these up, be sure to do so, just because it is limited edition. I am personally packaging all of your orders. If you want to watch me do that, I do some daily vlogs on Daily Polina, but yeah, I want obviously less people touching as possible, so I'm packaging your orders, and I look forward to making your order for you and shipping it to you, so you have a little bundle of joy and excitement to look forward to. So I love you guys. Oftentimes I go on Instagram and do these things called temperature checks, where I check in and I see kind of what questions you guys have in mind, what things for advice, what topics, and just anything that you want me to talk about in the video, discuss that's at your mind in that moment, or when you see that little question box, ask you guys to throw it in there, and then I kind of see what's prominent in your guys' responses, and in turn probably what's prominent more in the collective, and then whichever resonates with me the most or what I see the most. You know, sometimes one question will just spark my interest and spark my inspiration for a video, and sometimes I'll see something repeat and realize, okay, I should talk about this. So today's video, I want to talk about my opinion on, I'll be posting my opinion basically on drugs and alcohol. And it's a really, wide topic, because, there are so many drugs and there are so many different kinds of alcohols, but I'll kind of explain from a spiritual perspective different things, and then hopefully that'll give you your answer. So in terms of looking at drugs, I definitely I don't think it's good to take a stance, but like hard drug, basically drugs, like things that are more psychedelic, that are like shrooms, or acid, or I don't know what else people take, like LSD, that's acid, right? Like things like that. And then other ceremonial, like plant medicines, like ayahuasca, and for other people consider also marijuana plant medicine, things like that, I feel like are in one category. And then I feel like hard drugs, like I don't know, I only know so many honestly, but like I don't know, meth, there's like something there, meth, crack, cocaine, things like that, like heavy drugs, I think is a whole different category. Those kinds of drugs, like the super drugs like cocaine, all of them, and hard drugs are in a very, very, very low vibration. I mean, there's so much, I'm not even probably the best resource to discover that. There's a lot of research done on what those drugs do to your vibration. They literally bring you down to like an extremely, extremely low level, and that's why people feel numb when they take them. And so it's understandable why those in really difficult situations often get hooked on drugs, because if you're already really feeling low, it's better to feel nothing than to feel the pain of where you're normally feeling. And that's why, I feel like it's a common reason people why they turn to drugs. So all drugs and alcohols resonate at a different frequency, right? So on the vibrational scale, I can show you right here, some like alcohol maybe will be at like, I don't know, like a wine could be at like, I'm making stuff, but like 300, and then tequila could be at like 280 and whatever. And then same thing for drugs, marijuana maybe is at like 310 or whatever it may be. So they just resonate at a certain frequency. So depending on where you are vibration in terms of your consciousness and in terms of your vibration, you resonate somewhere else. So let's say you're very spiritually developed, you're like plant-based, you're on a high frequency, okay, I'm just gonna say, like, if your vibration is above those substances, when you take them, you will feel worse. Reason being, or even in the moment, I'm not saying like hangover the day after, that as well, but in the moment you will feel your vibration drop. That is because it's the substances below you. So even for me personally speaking, I normally know where I reside at quite a high frequency. I mean, I do a lot of energetic work. I eat plant-based, things like that. So my frequency is, fairly high. I'm sure there's tons of people who are higher and way more enlightened and way more developed, and it's not a competition, but in general, at least I can say for sure that my frequency is above that of alcohol and, and drugs for the most part. I want to say that with confidence, but you know, maybe, but when I say drugs, it's like a very broad term, so maybe not like ayahuasca or something. But basically so if I were to drink, I notice immediately that my vibration drops, and immediately that's kind of can be conned as a negative, that can be, you know, taken with such a negative, but really it's just bringing you into a different density. So if you're at a really high frequency, as a lot of you may know, you tap into technically different states of being, different levels of consciousness, and in turn different dimensions. So like in, you know, in a space like 4D where there's still polarity and it's a lot of kind of false light, or 5D, so when you're feeling super blissful and alive and full of love, you can definitely, I'm sure you in your own experience, when you've had days where you've just been so happy, maybe it was your birthday, you just got a promotion or something really beautiful happened, you were at this frequency of immense joy and your day flowed differently. The day probably flowed by really fast, probably felt very buttery and just smooth and like it melted and you just couldn't believe the way it cohesively came together. Usually that's 5D, right? So if you were in that state and you had wine or something, I don't know, this is the best thing to observe, maybe like on a birthday or something of that nature, because you're feeling really good, and oftentimes, you know, during celebration you have a drink, nothing, no shame, but basically you're just shifting down to the third density, which is where we exist now. So we still always, obviously our physical body exists here in the third density. I mean, I can touch everything, I can feel everything with my hand, but our consciousness is usually, if you know, the more spiritual work you do, your conscience can resonate somewhere else. So it just brings you again into a different state of being. And so sometimes if those of us who are often function in our mind or in that kind of fifth density consciousness where we're very in our head and a lot's happening in your head and there's visions and it just feels like you're in here and you can just flow and like you're just in this kind of crown chakra, sometimes having a beverage can help you be more present, because oftentimes when you are when you tap into those higher chakras, it feels really nice to be there because it feels easy, because you're not really in your body, you're kind of above your body, and so it just feels like nice and light. And sometimes then when we have to, you know, face and heal and work through things on this earth plane, we don't do it because that would require us to kind of, you know, ground down through the heart and into the lower chakras in order to integrate certain things. So it gets comfortable staying in those higher chakras. So a glass of wine at that point can be a tool, you know, in terms to bring you into this reality if you want to be really present and really just in this moment. Although you can, you know, work with yourself and with like breathing techniques and just with your own development to be present in the moment, it's kind of like the quick pill or the quick fix to just kind of be super present. Similarly speaking, if you're on the other end of that and if your vibration normally is lower than the frequency of alcohol and you have it, that's why it feels so euphoric. A lot of people who, for example, are just, you know, more stressed day to day, or just, I'm not saying that because you're stressed you reside at a lower frequency, but in general, it's when you're stressed you are at a lower frequency. Even when I'm stressed, I notice a drop in my vibration. You know, your frequency is a bit lower, so you may tap into such a vibration where alcohol is actually above where you are. And so if you were to drink alcohol, it would lift you up and it would make you feel better. And that's why it gets addicted to a lot of people via drugs. But you know, it's one of the cheapest kind of way to numb yourself, so to say. And so for a lot of people, it lifts them up, makes them feel better than they're feeling temporarily. Of course, the next day, a hangover, and then you're back to facing how you felt. In fact, probably lower. You know, most alcohols, except for like tequila, and I'm sure there's more, are depressants, so they're going to make you feel worse than you felt before, but temporarily it will feel like a relief. So in terms of other drugs, for me, marijuana really just doesn't resonate with me. CBD, I used to have like chews sometimes, and like a face oil, which I know isn't even consumption. CBD is like, it's not THC, so it's not psychoactive, so it's not going to get you high. It's like the calming agent. Personally, it doesn't resonate with me. You know, I'm not like, I don't say I'm against it, I'm not for it. Like, not that I'm not for it. I think for other people, it probably, I've seen it really work wonders for people up to a certain point. Like I said, it resides at a certain frequency, so if you're below it, it can be really helpful. So if you're really anxious and stressed and things like that, and it can really help you, it can literally raise your frequency. So it can be a tool in your ascension journey where it can lift you up, and when you're lifted up, you have better ideas. People say they feel creative, I feel a better connection to their higher, you know, something a little bit like a version of themselves that's a little bit more conscious in a way. That's why people feel so inspired and mellow and good and alive and blissful, is because their frequency is raised. And so it can be a beautiful tool. That's why a lot of people who smoke weed, especially I have a friend as well who's very spiritual, and he was even talking to me how he smoked it until a certain point, and then he would notice he would always feel better smoking, and at a certain point in his spiritual journey, he would smoke and realize he felt lower or like worse than if he didn't. I think that happens to a lot of people. So again, it's everything's a tool. And so if that's for you right now, that's a tool, then that's beautiful and that's great that resonates for you. For a lot of people, it resonates up to a certain point, and then when your natural frequency is above that, you know, through your own spiritual work, then that no longer resonates with you, and then it's not a tool you need to use, and you probably save a good amount of money. So that's kind of my perspective with that. In terms of like plant medicines, I personally have never done ayahuasca. I'm definitely up for it and willing. I was actually supposed to go last year, but it was a whole thing. It was like it was difficult with timing, and I ended up actually going to Tulum instead. But yeah, I would definitely be willing to do it. I think you have to have a specific certain call to it. I don't think I have that really strong call to it at the moment, but I am 100% open and willing for ayahuasca, which is like a plant medicine, and it teaches you a lot of things, and a lot of my people say are integrated over an extended period of time. And yeah, I know we'll go back to it, and I know people who have done it, who I've spoken to, and yeah, really profound experiences. So I definitely can see myself doing that in the future, and I will, if you guys would like, I will share my journey or my experience with you guys. I know I can obviously share the initial journey. I know a lot of people say that a lot of the insights sink in a little bit after, like throughout the year, so it's gonna be kind of hard to say what insight came from that. If I'm able to tie it back intuitively, I will. But so things like those, that for me, that's still something that resonates with me. Everything at the end of the day is just can be a tool. Tools can be positive and tools can be destructive. I guess tools not necessarily can be destructive, but some things are tools, some things are more destructive when used improperly, right? Like that you just need to understand what something is, where it resonates, and what it's just, I think what's her name, Heather, spoke about this too, because she talked about what her views on I believe drugs and alcohol, I don't remember where, but she also said how like everything just offers you a different perception, really. And so like, and maybe sometimes it's really hard for you to access your emotions, and a glass of wine would be beneficial, would be a tool to access the emotions and allow you to maybe feel that you've been suppressing or express something that you want to express, but it's hard for you. You know, maybe that it's like they can be a tool, but they can also be a shortcut, and they can also be destructive. So you really have to intuitively sense what it is for you. Sometimes it can really be a tool, and in that moment you need that. Sometimes maybe it can be a shortcut for internal work you still need to do, and sometimes it can get destructive. But so I think even with ayahuasca, I'm sure if people, I know it probably is not good to overdo. I mean, I haven't researched how much you should do. I think people only, the max you should do is once a year. That's what I've seen. But you know, so it's kind of like you just need to understand what something is and what it offers, so to say. And if it is something that's in line with you and on your path, then that's great. And if not, then it isn't. Personally, like I'm saying, the super hard addictive drugs, obviously anyone would advise, I do not advise anyone partake in. I mean, I guess it's almost like common sense, but it's not common sense. It's like, it seems like, yes, like don't do drugs, it's like common sense. But also, you know, people get into them by being introduced to other things. I mean, I'm getting into like a really dark discussion, but that whole sector of drugs, I really have nothing to say. I really just have like no comment, nothing that I want to speak upon with that. And in terms of the other psychedelics like shrooms and acid, things like that, I also think again that those can be tools in offering a different perspective. Those I find often are a bit of a higher perspective. I mean, most I would just want to speak on shrooms. I don't really have too much experience or great understanding with acids. I'm just gonna be completely honest. I don't want to say suggestions, but again, I think it's very important to be safe. I think it's very important to be educated, and it's very important to understand what you're doing and feel ready to do certain things. And if not, you know, you always have yourself as your tool of spiritual evolution, and you can, you know, get to levels of consciousness through your own inner workings. Some things, of course, can be really good tools and accelerators, but if that's not a route you want to go and there's no need for you to go in that doesn't resonate with you, and of course I advise you do what's authentic to you, what resonates with you, that you're safe in your decision making, and I trust that, you know, your higher self will guide you in those kinds of decisions. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will see you guys on my website for other resources, guides, and one-on-one coaching, as well as on Instagram. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.